thought about being a law professor way back when I was in law school because I saw their lives and they looked pretty sweet. But then after I started working in big law for a while, I got into working in big law. Then I realized that what I liked more than anything else was thinking and writing about things that interested me, not necessarily that interested clients. And I liked training the junior associate. So I thought, this could be a job for me. And it has proven to be the perfect match for me because I do love teaching. My students are wonderful. And I love writing. I probably would do this job for free other than faculty meetings and grading exams. When I was thinking about moving from Nebraska to the deanship at Houston, I really had two things in mind. One, I knew it was a great school. But two, it's my hometown. I got to be back with my family again. And so I thought, great opportunity, hometown, get to go home to Texas. This is a no-brainer. And I'm really glad I made the switch. So when I realized I was going to be the first woman law dean at U of H, it didn't change how I was going to react to things, but I think it did change the idea for other people of how a dean should behave, because there are a lot of different ways that good deans behave. Up until me, they'd only seen how male deans behaved. And so I gave them a glimpse into some other things that might have been because I was a woman, might have been because I was a native Texan, might have been just because of my own personality, but it expanded people's ideas of what a dean could be. I think more than anything else, though, for our students, they need to be able to see themselves in roles that they might want to try on later. So although it's odd being the first of anything, and it's a little bit sad when we're still talking in 2021 about people being the first of anything, it's important for students to be able to visualize themselves as law firm partners, as people in the government, as administrators in universities and law schools, so that they can expand their notion of what's available to them. First off, Nebraska was a much smaller school than U of H was. So I had to get used to the sheer size and number of students, number of faculty. But I think the thing that struck me most was that there were ashtrays in the classrooms. So one of the first things that I did when I bargained with the provost as I was accepting the job was he needed to do a redesign of those classrooms. And I'm pretty excited that the law school is having a new building now. That's important in its development. So Tropical Storm Allison, when it happened, dumped 14 feet of water into our buildings. And so we were completely out of a home all summer. We ended up in the basketball arena. I think Career Services was in the concession stand back then. But we had a small cohort of people who were willing to pull together and redesign the law school. So we learned a couple of things. We learned, don't put rare books 2 stories below ground when you're at a Houston sea level kind of city. That was not our finest move in the beginning. We had corrected that. So we learned, yeah, you probably don't want to put the most important stuff like your servers in the basement when you live at sea level. We needed to yank the carpet out because it was ruined. We had over $50 million in a ruined law library collection. I think we and the drama department suffered the worst losses at U of H. So we had to figure out how on earth do we get some of the books back? And we had an alum who was able, in essence, to freeze dry some of the books to get them back to where they were. We couldn't recover all of the books that way. I have a vague memory, and I wasn't there at the time. I was actually in Boston at the time, but I have a vague memory that someone told me that the first book to float up after Tropical Storm Allison was Law of the Sea, which of course is ironic. We had to deal with FEMA. We had to deal with the university. I actually made friends with the person in charge of the physical plant of U of H, and he and I are still in touch today. But we had to do even more than that in the fall because the cohort of us who had been living with U of H, recovering, was just a small subset of the community. And I had to find a way to give the community a chance to grieve. And it didn't dawn on me right away. So that was a misstep on my part that we recovered. I think my favorite story about it, and the credit is not me, it's Sonder, Tennessee, it's Seth Chandler. Loyola LA, when Katrina happened, needed to have a building, and it wasn't going to happen in New Orleans. So Loyola LA became our roommates, and we found a way to make it work. It's still a very special moment to me today when we figured out, yeah, we can help out a school that is in as bad a position as we were after Tropical Storm Allison. When I got here in 2007 to UNLV, the Boyd School of Law, I was happy being a law professor. But a few years later, I got moved into the interim law dean position when our then dean became our provost. Later on, because unfortunately UNLV has had a succession of presidents since I've been here, our provost stepped down, eventually became the chancellor of the whole system. So I went into his provost position. So I was the provost of UNLV for a while. For a summer, I was the chief financial officer of UNLV for a while. And then I was the special counsel to the president of UNLV when Len Jessup was the president. I've since moved to being a trustee of the university that Len is president of now, Claremont Graduate University. But I've gone back to teaching and research. I love that. We now have a brand new book on professional responsibility. But my two areas are applying social science concepts to how lawyers behave and using big data to try to track down if we can figure out risks that might lead to malpractice later. So I have a co-author. He and I have an enormous database, and we've been cranking out articles. In addition, obviously, I've taught JD MBA students, I've taught MBA students, I've taught pure JD students, I've taught honors undergrad students. And in my spare time, I compete. I'm a competitive ballroom dancer, and I am an expert witness in disputes that range from corporate governance to reasonableness of fees. I'm often the court's expert in big cases in bankruptcy on the reasonableness of fees. And my husband and I are celebrating our 25th anniversary soon. What I love about legal education is not only does it train you how to be a lawyer, although you still need a few years practice to get that down, but you can use your law training in a number of different ways. So for example, when I served as provost here at UNLV, my law training helped me make sure that people who were going up for promotion and tenure got due process if there was a problem with their promotion and tenure file. Thinking strategically, which is something good lawyers do, has helped me in a variety of jobs that I've had over the years. I also am very, very grateful that being a lawyer, my law training has helped me intersect with people whose goal in life it is to help other people. It's a wonderful profession. I'm glad I didn't go to med school. I was only pre-med for about 4 or 5 days, but I'm glad I didn't go to med school. I'm glad I went to law school. And I'm glad that I can use my talents not just to teach students, not just to help other lawyers, not just to write articles, but in some small way to help society run more smoothly. That's why a legal education is important. Well, U of H, you've hit the big 7.5. I am exceptionally proud of you. I'm proud of your students, your staff, your faculty, and your alumni. And I wish you all the best as you continue to set an example of what a good legal education can be. Have a great celebration.